Hello and welcome. I'm Craig Harrington, and today's topic is the American auto industry. There is no hiding the fact that the big three in Detroit have been battered by the economic downturn and the shrinking U.S. and global auto market. They have also been substantially weakened by competition from foreign-based automakers both at home and abroad. Some of the obstacles faced by Detroit were self-imposed, but the government should certainly be doing a lot more to help them succeed, rather than putting arbitrary restrictions and deadlines in place which could lead them to failure. California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger expressed much the same sentiment during his keynote speech before the Society of Automotive Engineers 2009 World Congress in Detroit on April 19th. Governor Schwarzenegger has been highly critical of Detroit in the past, but he realizes that allowing a world-leading industry to die simply because of a debate about fuel efficiency is a ridiculous proposal. The big three are too important to the health of the Great Lakes region and, in fact, the entire United States to be allowed to collapse outright. He and others have called for new nationwide fuel and emission standards which will match the high criteria of California and other states. The government has allowed individual states to craft their own fuel standards in the past, and thus allowed national energy policy regarding oil to erode. A codified national standard could help restructure this country's addiction to and dependence on foreign oil imports and greatly reduce the growing trade deficit. Thus far, Chrysler and General Motors have received roughly $17.4 billion from the government. But restructuring in this way takes time, and these companies need government assistance in order to make the transition. U.S. automakers have resorted to laying off workers as the quickest way of proving their fiscal stability to government regulators and shareholders. But what they should be doing is keeping those workers employed and fast-tracking production of the next generation of vehicles. General Motors in particular is set to become an industry leader in gas-electric hybrid technology because of the innovative design of the upcoming Chevrolet Volt. The vehicle does not use a gas-powered drivetrain like that of the Toyota Prius, Honda Civic Hybrid, or other hybrid models. It uses a fully electric drivetrain which is charged by a small gas-powered generator. This allows the vehicle to get even more fuel economy out of a small amount of gasoline. GM is hoping to employ this technology in its remake of the worst gas-guzzling offender of them all, the Hummer. During the artificial market boom of the past decade, the run on trucks and SUVs produced skyrocketing demand for the unnecessarily large, military-graded Hummer. The vehicles got notoriously poor gas mileage and became a symbol of the opulence which America frittered away. A new model of the Hummer H3 hopes to change that perception and boasts a gas-electric fuel efficiency of over 100 miles per gallon. Detroit has a long way to go before it gets its affairs in order, but there are a few things the government could do and should do right now to help them. First, we need the government on every level to stop subsidizing in-sourced manufacturers. Those that are already here are a sunk cost, and since they do employ American workers, they cannot simply be thrown out. However, Washington should mandate that states no longer give tax incentives and lucrative contracts to overseas manufacturers in the future. That money and those assembly plants should be going to American industrial firms. Second, we need the government to take a firm stance against corporate waste and greed at the big three. Former General Motors CEO Rick Wagner was the sacrificial lamb in this regard, not so much for personal wrongdoing, but for not expediting the restructuring process which his company desperately needs. Finally, Washington has to adopt new national standards for the auto market and then help GM, Chrysler, and Ford achieve those goals. In the past, standards were talked about but not enforced, and those that were enforced were used punitively against Detroit automakers. We need to work together on every level to dig out of this crisis, and there is no better place to start than one of this country's most battered economic sectors, the auto industry. On behalf of concerned citizens, I'm Craig Harrington. For more on this and other topics, please log on to economyincrisis.org.